Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Welcome, everybody. Shkoyach. Thank you for coming. Shalom Aleichem. You're not a guest, but what is your name? Ephraim what? Vaidov. From? You live here. You just made a aliyah, right? How long ago?
10 weeks.
10 weeks already. Givaldik. Should go well. Rabbi, I just want to share with you, this is a clip from the Hebrew shir. It's in Hebrew, but my son put subtitles. I thought it was very, very nice. Just a background. There's a very young individual, Shlomo Cooperman. He's Reb Nachum Katz's grandson. He wrote an article about MDY in this week's Mishpacha in Hebrew, and they're probably going to translate it to English. It'll come out in a few weeks. So I called him up. He was in Rome. And I think I mentioned that in Rome, he played the piano in the airport. I said the story. It went viral. Basically, he played a tikva in the middle of the airport, and a white guy got up and said, "Free Palestine!" And then kept on walking. Okay, but I didn't show that part because it's too long. But here is another, it's a very cool story. This part I thought was very, very interesting. יש לי הזדמנות להגיד ישר כוח והכוס הטוב לרב שלמה קופרמן שנמצא איתנו. הוא היה באיטליה והוא כתב כתבה, בוא רב שלמה בוא לכאן שנייה, אני רוצה לדבר איתך, כאן. Get over, אנחנו אומרים, איך אומרים את זה בעברית? תבוא לכאן, זה לא עובד טוב. שלום עליכם, ממש ישר כוח על הכתבה, ממש כתבה נהדרת. ואני אומר לך ככה, צריכים להתפלל, השיעור הזה יהיה לזכות, שהכתבה הזה לא יהיה לגייבה, שזה יביא עוד אנשים לתוירה. לא, ודאי שיש קצת גייבה. יש איזה... כן, אבל שזה יביא אנשים לתוירה. נו, תספר לי איך היה.
זה היה הפעם הראשונה.
כן.
למדתי כל יום, למרות שהייתי בחו"ל. רק בגלל שהצטרפנו ל-MDY, זה...
אז אני רוצה להגיד לך משהו. רגע, אתה לא תאמין. לפני יומיים, הגיע אליי אחד כאן בחדר, אני יכול, כן? בוא, גם אתה, בוא לכאן, בוא, אתה תספר, אני לא יכול להגיד.
מפגש החמים.
לא, אמס, לפני יומיים. שומע לך, אתה בצלאל, נכון?
כן.
נו, תספר, מה אתה אמרת לפני יומיים? וזה לא מתוכנן, זה לא מתורד הדבר הזה. נו, מה אמרת לפני יומיים? מה?
הייתי בטיול בחו"ל.
איפה היית? גם ברומא? בגורגיה.
פעם ראשונה שישבתי ולמדתי כל ערב, ותודה.
רגע, מה אמרת לי? אמרתי לי משהו על אשתך,
זה עשה לי אשתי את הטיול, כאילו, באמת,
זה נתן לה נחס, זה אנשים לא יודעים, כמה אנשים, אפילו שהם לא אומרות כלום, הם מסתכלים על הבעלים שלהם שלומדים, והם מאוד נהנים, הם מתגאים בזה.
עשה לי את הטיול.
וואו, ישר כוח, תודה רב בצלאל.
גם אני מצטרף לענן.
בואי הנה, טוב, אז תודה רבה, באמת.
צריך לקנות משפט.
אבל באמת, אני לא סתם צוחק. זה יהיה הכתבה הראשונה שלך, בעזרת השם תעשה עוד כאלה כתבות, אבל זה יביא כל בן אדם שמצטרף לתואר בגללך, בגלל איזה וורט שאמרת, זה, לך יש זכויות. לא עושה... אוקיי, תודה רבה. הכל עשה טוב. So anyway, two people within 2 days told me it's the first time in their life that they brought a sefer on a trip and they learned. The second guy, Betzalel, when he told me the story, he was shaking. I saw him outside here, and he said twice, he repeated twice, my wife was very proud of me. My wife was very proud of me. So, all right. Rabbi Yisai, here it goes. It's here. It's here. The way it works is, you make a team. You take a page. You say, I think I can raise X amount of money, $100. I think I can raise $100 for MDY, right? And if you don't raise the $100, you don't raise the $100. No, nothing happened. But you think you could. So, Baruch Hashem, under 30 people, first of all, we already have 200. Think about this. We already have 230 teams. We're looking for many, many more. We didn't do anything here in Mabet Shemesh. Be'ezer Hashem, we're going to have a get-together. Moshe Hirsch is running it. If anybody wants to help him out, to help facilitate it and get the oilam together, contact him. I'll call upon him. From the 230 teams, 30 already figured out how much they want to raise per team. And here's 30 of the teams, 30 people. Here they are. Check this out. I'm starting off on the wrong foot because I don't know how to pronounce his name even. Eli Afriat, something like that, $5,000 upon himself. Yisrael Goldstein, $10,000. For a total, I'm just going to tell you the total, from these 30 people, $125,000. I think it's very chashuv for a nice start. Yiddi Schwartz, 1,000. Dov Lankin, 3,500. Abba Deutsch, 1,800. Yaakov Stefansky, Shkoich, I got all your emails. $10,000. Simi Mandelbaum from Chicago, $20,000 upon himself. Simon Stern, 1,000. Shraga Blitzstein, 5,000. Pinkas Akilov, 2,000. Dudi, the famous Dudi, 2,000. Dov Frankel, 5,000. Ushazelig Weisberger, 1,000. Shulam Berkovitz, 1,000. Yossi Mizrahi, the Chassid from Kiryas Yoel, 5,000. Tourism.com. Yaakov Moda Newman, 1,000 pounds. Lippy gets that, they're 1,000. And here's the list from Montreal. The entire Montreal Chevra, and there's more to come. Each one accepted upon themselves 5,000. Not Canadian. Moshe M. Spearer, Yoni Rennert, Usher Neiman, Menachem Benedict, Chaim Weber, David Sabag, Yossi, these are French names. This is Yossi Tuito, Yaakov Dahon. Oh, here, we said his name already. He was the first one on the list. Usher Berkowitz, all for $5,000. Now, Rabbi said one thing I want to show you, the Olam. Maybe we could blow this up. This is not a very clear one. But if there's incentives, that's all. What do you think the Olam was doing this for? If you raise $10,000, you get a free room at the next Shabbaton. You raise $3,600, you get $360 off the room. And $1,800, you get $120 off the room. Huh? Less than a year from the other one. Every year, this is Shabbaton Bezer Hashem. So there are incentives. Rabbi say, Chaperein, go on to, how do you register for a room over here? How do you, what's the thing for the page? Anybody know? Where is Tomer? No. It says over here? charity.com/MDY, and you go get a page there. It's not a big deal, low pressure. Let's say you want to raise $1,000, and you don't raise $1,000. So nothing happened. Nobody's going to come after you. What? Charity with a D. Yeah, that's the right way to spell. Rabbi Yisai. The Masechta is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Amen. And the Paras HaChodesh Lilishma Zechariah ben Moshe Lilishma Zechariah bas Yosef. Paras HaChodesh Ahron Fraiman should be zechus to rebellion for continuous siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Paras HaYoim Adam Plunka the yahrzeit. Moshe ben Amram Moshe Rabbenu Zayin Adar. Moshe ben David, Rav Moshe Feinstein. His Levi was on Purim here in Yisrael, no? And I was at his Levi in America. Really? We did. Were you by the pole?
No,
I was mamish by the pole.
Van in the middle or something.
There's only one van, one pole.
I was by that Levi.
Yeah.
My father.
That's where we met each other. We met each other by Moshe's Levi. Shmaryahu Yosef Chaim ben Yaakov Yisrael, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, the 15th of Adar. Chaim Kanievsky, the 15th of No,
it was on Purim. Chaim was on Purim.
No, Shusha. He was Nifter on Purim?
The Purim Suda. Shalayim.
Really? But his Levi was Shusha. Okay. Interesting. Avi and Elana. Hippel Poru Agoiro. Tana v'lo yehoyu yedeh b'shiva ba'adar meis u'b'shiva ba'adar noilad Megillah Yud Gimel. Avram Tzvin ben Elka Miriam Refuah Shleima. Amen. Parnas Hayoim Moe Landy, my grandfather. Lili Nishmas Yisrael Chaim ben Yeshayu's first yahrzeit is today. The neshama should have an aliyah. Parnas Hayoim yahrzeit of Ayelad Yaakov Moshe ben Rav Avram. The neshama should have an aliyah. And Parnas Hayoim Mordechai Sapazing the zechus Nishmas of Avi Mandelbaum. Zechroin Levrocha, may his neshama have an aliyah. Parnas HaChodesh, the anonymous for the zechus, for needs a childbirth, for his daughter and a healthy baby. I forgot to put the video of Avi Mandelbaum and Yossi Klein. It's a classic. Yossi Klein is a chassid with the payas and the whole thing. Avi Mandelbaum was not a chassid, and he went to visit him in the hospital here. Very nice. MDY headquarter, coffee corner, and beverage week. Mental learners making chassid here. In honor of my daughter's chasana, Shetiski, Livnois, Bais, Nembe, Yisrael. And one reminder, I want to tell the Olam that we just finished Sefer Shmois. And for all those who want to start and begin, Shnai Mikra Vecha Targum, one of a chassid came over to me last week, one of the guests, he said, he does Shnai Mikra V'Echad Targum since his bar mitzvah, but he's never finished the full sefer ever in his life. This is the first time that he ever finished. The consistency of the daf goes very hand in hand with Shnai Mikra. You could do an aliyah a day. It's only about 8 minutes a day. How long does it take you, Donnie?
Emails.
You go by the emails. If it's short, so you do it shorter. So you have control, basically. Oh, I have control.
You just made it longer. What are you doing?
So what did you do last week with that super huge shlishi? What was it, Shani or shlishi? 3 days. Three email days. My fault. Okay. Okay. So Rabbi Isai, we have to do a little bit of chazara here, which never hurts. Basically, we have to do an amud of chazara, not inside. So the top words, lo yamar klum, go on the bottom words of Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. And that is, Rabbi Yochanan said, a bam chidush. Here we go. I just put it over here. I wrote this up between the English and the Hebrew shir last night.
Where are you?
I'm holding, today is Daf Yudches Amud Aleph,
Right.
Daf Chaim.
Where are you?
I'm just going about pay here. Rabbi says a chiddush that if somebody finds a document that was made in Bezdin, such as a ksuba, sorry, not finds. If somebody comes forward saying that they have a ksuba and they cannot produce the actual document, or they say, my husband owes me alimony, my husband owes me child support. This is a Tnai Bezdin. The husband, or whoever the person on the other side, doesn't have the right to deny it. You can't say, oh, I paid it off. Why? Because once it's a Bezdin Tnai, this comes from Bezdin, this is a halacha that you must give your wife a ksuba. Everybody knows that there's a ksuba at a wedding. So even if she doesn't produce the actual ksuba, you can't deny it. It's as if she's holding the actual ksuba. Okay, so that's halacha number 1. Does anybody remember what happened next step? Next step was that the Gemara says, what is the chiddush? It's a mefurish mishnah in ksubas that says, if a woman comes forward with a get, not a ksuba, so she could demand payment for a ksuba just with the get. So the Gemara says, you're right. It's not such a chiddush. This is you could learn it from the Mishnah. However, you'd have never thought about it yourself. I'm the one that kind of woke you up to this halacha, says Rabbi Yochanan. And now that I told it to you, you found it in the Mishnah. But before I mentioned it to you, you didn't see it in the Mishnah. I said then it's like sort of like when you start looking into a certain car, all of a sudden you're on the highway, you notice that car. The guy in front of you has that car. But because you thought about it, now you notice it. That's a margolis tachas, you find a pearl underneath a stone. So this is where it becomes important to us right now today, where Abaye says, what kind of raya do you have from that Mishnah? Why is it the same thing as Rabbi Yochanan? That Mishnah says that if a woman comes with a get, then you can use the get as a ksuba. Maybe it's because that place where she produced the get, it's a city that doesn't write. The minig over there is not to write a ksuba. As we learned in ksuba, some cities write ksubas, some cities don't write a ksuba. In that city where you don't write a ksuba, so you produce a get, you get your money. Why do you think that's a halacha in the entire world, even in cities that you do write a ksuba? Maybe in a city that you write a ksuba, you have to produce a ksuba. Who told you, says Abaye? Says Abaye, I made a mistake. No, not a good kasha. Mistake. Hadar Bey. And this is an akuda that we're going to be talking. Why did he take it back? So he says, I'll tell you why he took it back. Because there's something called an arusa, an engaged woman, not married yet. If her chasen dies, she gets a ksuba. And you don't write such a ksuba. Such a ksuba is not written anywhere, but it's a known thing that you get a ksuba. How would you get a ksuba? So here's a case of a city or a world where you don't write a ksuba and she demands a ksuba. So you see, there's no nafkamina for a place that you do write a ksuba, a place you don't write a ksuba. Even if you don't write a ksuba, anyway, you still, Arusa gets a ksuba. So the Gemara says, but wait a minute, who told you Arusa even gets a ksuba? How do you know Arusa gets? It's a great. You can retract what you said if you know. You made the last part is you established a rule that Arusa gets a ksuba, and based on that rule, you have a raya. Who told you that Arusa gets a ksuba? We try to prove it. So now we're holding over here 2 lines from the top. Yudches Amud Aleph. Ve'ela. So how do we know that Arusa gets a ksuba? It says mefurish in a brisa. Ishtoi arusa. If your engaged wife, we call her a wife here, kala. Let's call her kala. If you're a kohen, loy oinein v'loy mitamala. If she, Rachman Slan, dies, you don't treat her as a regular wife. If a person is a kohen and his wife dies, he's not allowed to eat kachim. That day, he's a oinen. The day of the death, you're a baninos, you're part from mitzvahs. You don't eat kachim. As a kohen, you don't eat kachim. V'loy mitamala. Here's a list of the 7 kroivim that a kohen is supposed to become tamid to: a father, mother, wife, son, daughter, brother, sister that's not married to anyone. So you mechuyev to be matama, to go to the levaya, be oisik with the mace, deal with the dead. This is just a kala. She's not his wife yet. Yes, he gave her a ring. She's a ishasish, but you don't go to the levaya. V'chein and so she, in return, lo yinenes, she doesn't act ba'aninos the day of his death. V'lo metamaloi, and she doesn't become tamei to him. Now, the pasuk, here's the pasuk. So let's see Rashi. What does it mean she doesn't become tamei to him? Who cares? She's not a kohen. She's a kohenes maybe. A woman is not mechuyev on this isser of becoming tamei. So Rashi explains it beautifully, and this could be a good shiloh that you could ask your friends. Here's the question. If a person has a death in his family, lo yaleinu, somebody's father dies, and he's Yisrael, regular guy, he doesn't feel like going to the levaya, he doesn't feel like dealing with the dead. Do we force him to go? Do we not force him to go? He could choose what he wants. You're not going to believe this. It's a chiddush to me. We force him. We take him, tie him up, throw him in a taxi, kick him out right in front of the Aron and say, go. That's what we do. Says Rashi, she does not become tamei to him. This is not a halacha in kuhuna. Even if she's a kohenes, she has no chiyuv to make sure that she doesn't become tamei. It's only for the men. She's not mechuyev to deal with the dead. Even a Yisraelis. Why? A person has a mitzvah to deal with the dead, the 7 relatives in the parasha. There's a chiyuv. It's a positive. It's not it's a heter. It's a chiyuv. La yitama, you should become tamei to her. V'tanya la yitama mitzvah. And here's the kicker. Vim loy rotza. And if the person doesn't feel like becoming tamei to his relatives, mitamin oisoi al karchai. We force him. And this is a Gemara in Zvachim. All right. So therefore, says Rashi, we don't force her. What does it mean? She shouldn't become tamei. A woman doesn't have a problem becoming tamei. Oh, you're right. She doesn't. But if she doesn't feel like going to her chassan's funeral, we don't force her. Mesa Eina Yarsha. If she dies, there's no inheritance. Why? Look at this pasuk. Oh, let's do that again. That's a nice one. Oh, I like it. If there's no inheritance, you give the inheritance. So the Gemara Darish and the she'eroi means to his flesh. Only then there's Yerusha. When there's Nesuin, after Chuppah, then you inherit the wife. Otherwise, you don't inherit. Meishu, and this is what we're looking for, right over here. Meishu, if this chassan, not a married man, they're just engaged, be'erusin, Meishu, goivaksu basa. You're asking me, how do you know that Arusa gets a ksuba? Here, it says, Meishu, if the guy that's engaged to her dies, so she gets a ksuba. George was selling insurance in the United States Army, and he had 100% success rate. Life insurance. They didn't understand what's pshat, so they went they put some listening devices, and this is what he said. He told people like this: if you die today at battle, your wife will get $1,000. If you buy insurance, your wife will get $1 million. Now think about it. If you're running the army, who are you going to be sending into these very, very dangerous missions? The guy that gets $1,000 or the guy that the army has to pay up $1 million? Think about it. I think it will be in your best interest to get the $1 million insurance. We'll never send you on any dangerous missions. So over here, Mesu, if he dies, Goiva. She does. She gets the entire Murder Kesuba. So what's the Gemara's answer? Obviously, like we said before, it's not a raya that a Arusa gets a Ksuba. Dilma the Kasavla. Maybe we're talking about a case that he wrote, you know what, he's going to go out of his way, like Sfaradim do today. Adayim Azeh. They write these crazy large Ksubas. If a Ksuba is 200 zuz, they add another $50,000, $100,000. Somebody screamed here the other day, $250,000 he added to his wife's Ksuba. So, why? Stop. There's such a thing. So
Because they can.
Because they can. They feel like it. But it says over here that maybe the Chazan wrote a Ksuba. Typically, you don't have to. In this case, he did. It's not a right that every single Arus in the world gets a Ksuba. Oh, because of law, and if that's the case, that it's a special situation where he went out of his way and he wrote a Ksuba, so then what's the Chiddush? The answer is Mesa ain't a yahrzeit. You're right, there's no Chiddush in that, but there's a Chiddush that there's no Yerusha when she dies and they're not considered married until there's a chuppah. So, let's go back. Now we have to go back to this little list over here, and we're not going to go through the whole list. The bottom line is, Abaya asked a question. Abaya says that the Mishnah is not similar to Rabbi Yochanan said halacha. Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan said if a woman comes to Bezdin and says, "Hey, I have a ksuba, pay up," and she doesn't produce a ksuba, we still pay her the ksuba. Why? Because it's Bezdin. Bezdin is as if she's holding the ksuba. Bezdin made him make a ksuba, so she doesn't have to produce the actual document. The Gemara says that's similar to the Mishnah in Ksubas, and Abai says it's not similar to the Mishnah in Ksubas. Why? Because maybe in the Mishnah in Ksubas talking about a place that they don't write a Ksuba. Then Abaya, second step from the bottom where the red arrow is, and he says, no, I made a mistake. Look, Arusa doesn't write a Ksuba, and we give her a Ksuba. There's no way the guy can't say Parati. You see, Rabbi Yochanan's right. Okay, but how do you know that? How do you know the second from the last step? How do you know that Arusa gets a ksuba? We just try to prove it now. We don't have any proof. Even if we say here it says Mefurish, Arusa gets a ksuba, maybe the Chassan wrote it. It's not a general rule. So still, how do you know that Arusa gets a ksuba and you don't write it for her? Where do you know that? And she still could collect. Every Arus in the world gets a ksuba without actually producing a document. If the Chassan dies, she comes to Bezdin, no problem, they give it to her. Mamish, like Rabbi Yochanan said, you don't need to produce it. How do you know? Maybe the guy wrote it. The Sephardic guy that gave an extra 50,000, 250, because he put it in writing. Maybe that's the case. How do you know that you don't write? Says the Gemara, Ella. I'm just trying to explain what this Ella Abaya is. Ella Abaya migufa de masnisin kohadarbei. Abaya proved it from the actual mission. That's why he retracted and said, Rabbi Yochanan, you're right. If you're telling me that Mishnah in Ksubas is talking about, again, what happened over there? A woman comes with a get to Bezdin and she says, here's my get, I want to get paid 200. So you see from there that she doesn't have to produce a Ksuba. So Abai says, but maybe, he asked the question, maybe over there is talking about, it's a city that they don't write Ksubas. So the get stands instead of a Ksuba. So he says, no, you can't say that. Why? Because if it's in such a city, that the minhag is not to write a ksuba, and that's why we accept the get in lieu of the ksuba. The get, hainu ksubasa, or to get mana masayim ksivei. What is this get? A get doesn't talk about any kind of money. So do I know whether she deserves 100, 200? How am I paying her off based on a get? Perhaps once Chacham say, look, we're not writing ksubas in the city, and come forward with a get, and that's enough. So it's as if it's written inside 200, 100. How are you going to know who's 200, 100? You'll figure it out. You'll ask people that went to the wedding. Was she wearing a hemuna, whatever it is? She's a psula, a non-psula, whatever. We'll figure it out. But the point is that the get says money in it, kavyachol, as if, ki'ilu. So then the guy could just say, I paid. And this is basically what we do today. I think once Rav Schoenberg told me how they rip it 3 times or something. What did you tell me? Do you remember? Was that you? A get? What? How many times? They fold it and rip it in certain places. In four places. So here, even today we rip the get. That's why I'm the only person in the world that has a real get, a valid get, unripped. You're not allowed to have a get. It's Donald Trump's get. I don't want anybody to. You should have ripped it. No, the guy will say, you know why I didn't rip it? The woman didn't let, the wife didn't let, the ex, she didn't let. I need a get to prove that I could get married to somebody else. But you should have done what we do today. We rip it and we write on top of it. What do we write? These words. Gita denan de karunu, de karanuunu, de karanuhu. This get that we ripped. Loy mishum de gita psulahu. It's not because this get is possible. This is what we write. We write on the get. This get is not possible. This was a great get. The reason why we're ripping it is we don't want her to come and collect her ksuba 2 times. So, Otu called the Magbe. So the Gemara answers, Otu called the Magbe, Dina Magbe. What? You think a person, think about it. Anytime somebody pays you back a loan, it happened in Bezdin, a lot of times a woman comes forward to her husband, pay up the ksuba here, and he doesn't rip, he doesn't write, he doesn't know what to do, he just pays off the ksuba. You see from here, Abaye proves from the Mishnah that you cannot say parati when there's a tnai bezdin. You have a get. The Mishnah over there talks about that she produces a get, not a ksuba. And whatever you want to say, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have written this or that way. The point is, you pay off. When you have a get, you pay. It doesn't say 100, doesn't say too bad. It's a tnai bezdin. Anytime you have a tnai bezdin, you come forward, she comes forward with a get. She doesn't have to produce a ksuba, and the husband has to pay. That was Abaye's raya from that Mishnah. Says the Mishnah. It's a brand new sugi Rabbi side. Ooh, there's a new sponsor for the Mishnah, and I forgot to put it in. Avi, you have it? Sorry. May every Mishnah we conquer take us from strength to strength. Oh yeah, baby. Maybe we could take that last part out. Okay. Matzah gitei nashim v'shechura avadim. The other man had one laugh and weiter gegangen. Yosef, you allowed that in?
I sent it to you. You didn't respond.
Why you send it to me? That's the question. Fine. Matzah gitei nashim v'shechura avadim. A person found in the street a get, or a document that releases the slaves, daitiki, a document for a shchimera, he gives away his belongings. Now, what if he doesn't, if the person that he wanted to give his belongings to, he never got it, and he takes it back, he regretted it. Of course he can regret it. Matana, I give you a gift in writing, and then I take it back, I can take it back. B'shivarim and receipts, harei zeh lo yahrzeit. If you find these documents, don't give them back. Why? Shani oimer ksuvim hayu v'nimlach aleim shaloi litnon. Because I say that yes, he wrote the document, but he never delivered the document. Okay, it's possible. Just because you wrote a document doesn't mean you acted on it. You wrote the document, and before you actually gave the guy the gift, it fell out of your pocket. Now somebody found it. So says the Gemara, and by the way, you're all going to be bored here besides the new guys, because we learned this Gemara word for word in Gitan. And you all remember every word here, obviously. So we're going to go a little quicker than usual.
I remember the jokes.
Wow. It's not a joke what you're saying. He says he remembers the jokes. So we had here the Bacher YY, and he remembered the people, the names of the people I used in the mashal in this Gemara. He says, oh, you used Gary ben Moshe and you used this one. It's true. I went back and those were the names I used. So people remember some strange stuff. They don't remember the actual Gemara. They remember, listen, as long as you remember something, good. If you find a get, what's the problem? You don't want to give the get because maybe the guy doesn't want to get divorced. Maybe he took it back. By the time he got home, he cooled off a little bit. What if the husband says, no. It's a good thing you found the get. I was looking for it. I was, Baruch Hashem, you found the get. Here, siyadta dishmaya, it's mamish bashert, you found it. Here, let's give her the get. L'chayr, you give it to her. Now, what could be the problem? Why? What's the big chiddush? So, yeah, he wrote a get, he dropped it, you found it 2 months later. What's the problem? Why can't you use it? Huh? So dates are good. So what? It's a good get. Oh, so the answer is that we're concerned, and this is an interesting concern. That's also you're concerned that perhaps somebody else in the city has the same exact name. Yeah. Let's say you're in Williamsburg, and it says Yoel, and I don't know what the Rebbe's name is, or in Crown Heights, Menachem Mendel and Chaim, or Breslev, Nachman ben Nosson, Shkoyach, or Nosson ben Nachman. How many of those are there? Thousands, millions. Not man, no, very few mans. There's a school in Yerushalayim. It's Emes. There's a school in Yerushalayim. It's called Chavas Das. That over there, when the Rebbe screams out, Chaim Shmulevitz, like 25 Chaim Shmulevitz, because they're all, or Chaim Shmulevitz. Why you beat up Nachum Perchovitz? You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, if you're Litvish, okay. The two Rosh Yeshivas in the mirror, Yeshivas. So like generations later, there's a lot of Shmulevitzes that have Reb Chaim Shmulevitz's name, and a lot of Perchovitzes that have Nachum. Kids, this is they all learn this one super choshev place. Anyway, it's possible. Look, it's possible in the same city, same people have the same name. That's what I said. And we said the Rebbetzin Chaim Moshke. Yeah, you were thinking about something else. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I feel it's Mamaruba, so there's a concern. But we have a problem. He's a shliach. Now remember this. We're going to use this Mishnah. It's a Mishnah. We're going to have a contradiction to this Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah, Hamevi get va'avad. You are a shliach to bring somebody's get, and it got lost from you. Amen. Mitzoy la'alter kosher. If you found it, you lost it. Yeah, you're in the basement. It dropped. You realize it fell out of your pocket. You look. You find it. Okay, use it. Not a problem. Rashi says, right away means before the next bus came, before the next shayara, the next caravan came. Okay. Why? What's the problem with caravans? Once you add more people into the mix, now your statistics go up. You have many more Menachem Mendels, many more Yoyels. It becomes a problem. Imlav Posel. By the way, in Bells, it's also to use the name Aaron. Now, they made it like Isser. You can't use Aaron anymore because it becomes too confusing. Now, there's a problem to make a shidduch when the father-in-law has the same name as you. So a lot of people, at least that's their excuse. You know why I'm single now? I'm 50 years old because all the shidduchim, they have Aaron. So they made it, no, seriously, no more Aarons for now. Mitzvah la'alter kasher. Imlav posel. If you found this get after a long time, whatever the shear is, a certain amount of time, let's say a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is, you cannot use it. Why? Because I'm concerned that maybe the get you found is not the get that you're looking for. So what's the problem if I write a get, Menachem Mendel, Ben this, divorcing this person, Chaim Mushka. It happens to be the same exact name as two other people. So, what's the problem? It mamish fits. Everything's gewaldig. Oh, because of law, lishma. Very good. With the pasuk, you tell me, right? Agreement. With the pasuk. You have to do it lishma. You have to know, yes, it's the right name, but it has to be this couple, these people. So Rabbi, the Gemara understands, by the way, I just want to point it out here so we don't have a problem later. This contradiction is asked by Rabbi. Why? Because Rabbi answers. We're going to understand that Rabbi asked the question. Why? Omer Rabbi loy kashya. When don't you give it back? When there's a constant flow of people. Shayaris Mitzuyas can mean in the Merkaz Mischari, it can mean in a train station, it can mean in a bezdin, it can mean in a very popular falafel store, whatever. There's a lot of people. A lot of people are coming and going. Like that the yarmulke store in Mei Sharim. Every American has to go there. So, okay, Shayaris Mitzuyas, a lot of people coming from all over the world. He says the Gemara, oh. So check this out, says Rabbi. There are two conditions. In order not to give a get back, I need two conditions. First of all, I need a lot of people there, a lot of shayaris, a lot of, how do you say shayaris? Traffic. Caravans, traffic. Second of all, convoys. I need to know that in this city, the husband and wife, there's another couple that have the same names as the husband and wife. Huchzaku, Shnei Yosef ben Shimon. If the husband has the weirdest name, okay, his name is Elvis, let's say. There's no chance in the world or Mabechevich is Elvis. What's your wife's name? Rachel. Rachel and Elvis. Shalom Aleichem. Okay, no. You're good. But a Yosef ben Shimon, that's a problem. So Yosef ben Shimon and Sheres Mitzuyas, so the more you need two conditions. Because if not, Kashya, the Rabba. I went back to the shir. For some strange reason, I started singing Adar here. From the top, you hated it. You made a macha, and I asked them to sing with me, and they sang. I'm not going to do it now again. Don't worry about it.
Why'd you
No. Why? I have no idea. Because there's nothing else to do on the daf. I don't know. It reminded me, Adar. Maybe I just read it wrong. Kashya, the Rabba, Adar.
I can't imagine why I didn't like that. Like what?
I should have tried it again and see what happens. Let's see if the people do the same thing. Kasha the Rabba ad the Rabba. Because otherwise it's a contradiction. There's a get that was found in Rav Huna's Bezdin. Is Rav Huna's Bezdin a Rishus Harabim? Is it a Shayaris Mitzuyos? Yes. Yeah, there's many people coming in and out all day long. That's what the Gemara says. It says in the get, B'shvirei masad al-rochas nahara. In this city called Shvirei, Omer Rav Huna. Rav Huna says, Chayshina, the helmets are coming. Give me the phone. Oh, you started playing Adar? I didn't hear what happened. I thought it's his phone ringing. Oh, so listen to him. No, it's not a problem. As with it. Chayshina l'shnei Shvirei. We're concerned that there's another city, right? I'm sure there's a lot of cities have the same. I don't know about Ramat Shemesh, but there's Yerushalayim somewhere else. There's this somewhere else. There's always a city somewhere else that has the same name as your city. Every state has a Springfield. All 50 states have a Springfield. Okay, good. I thought it's only in Illinois. Okay. Okay, so let me ask you something. You're a tour guide. How many did you ever see double cities in Eretz Yisrael that have the same name? Like what?
Today?
Yeah, today.
Bethlehem and Tzfat, historically they have.
Bethlehem and Tzfat. Okay. There's only one Ramat Beit Shemesh. Daled, Gimel. So, a Maisa Shahaya, a guy comes from Eretz Yisrael. I know in Chicago it's called Achnas Archim, they have a whole building where people that come from Eretz Yisrael to collect money, they could stay in this building for free. So you get to meet a lot of people that are also collecting. So two guys strike up a conversation, And the guy says, I just came from Yisrael, I'm planning to go to the Gvir, the big Gvir. Who? Oh. He says, oh, that Gvir, I just was by him today. And who? The Gvir. By the way, I was the smallest Gvir in my our shul. That's our shul. Anyway, so he says, I'm going to this guy, the Gvir. So he says, let me tell you what happened. I was at his house, and he asked me a bam kasha on Shnai Morzim, Daf Yomi Amud Beis. He asked me a bam kasha. He said, what did he ask you? He says, okay, there's a steer in the Rambam over here, and this, that. He says, thank you very much. He runs, he goes across the street to Eichenstein Shul. He opens up a Gemara and starts stagging away in Shnai Morzim, goes through the whole sugya, opens up the Rishonim, goes through all the raid, opens the Sift in the back. He says, oh, there's a good steer there in the Rambam. Back, forth. And then he goes to the Gvir. He knocks on the guy's door. He says, oh, you're from Yisrael. Oh, I had this unbelievable shaila. I had a kasha on the Bava Metzia Daf Amud Beis. He says, no. He says, the Rambam says, oh, you mean in Perek Gimel Halacha Daled? What do you mean? He says, no, go weiter. Yeah, it's a steer. No, it's siyadta. No, the Chaim talks about it, and he says this, that. He says, well, I'll ask you something else. He starts draining him a cup. The Gvir is like, wow, this guy's Muhammad. He says, he's such a Talmud Chacham. So what are you doing there in America? He says, I have to make chasana. He says, no problem, chasana. Pays him the chasana, inviting a yanger. So he comes and asks Rabbi Yashiv. He says, did he lie? Is Kanievsky das? This is what they say. Rabbi Yashiv says, no, siyadta dishmaya. That's called siyadta dishmaya. You got lucky that the guy told you about his big kasha and you prepared. That's called siyadta dishmaya. Okay. Insider trading. So something similar happens over here. Rav Chizda tells Rabba, listen. Oh, you mean... joining the Daf sponsor. Thank you. Before I say the joining the Daf sponsor, if you're already here and you didn't listen to the emails, I got you. We already have 27 people that took upon themselves, we have 230 people that took upon themselves a page. A page means, Rabbi Isai, that you think that you could collect a certain amount of money and you make a page. You go to charity.com. Oh, here it is, charity.com/MDY. And, Shkoyach, that was nice, Avraham. As I'm talking, boom. Yosef doesn't even have to put it in. So, you can take upon, if you're here in Eretz Yisrael, take upon yourself 35 shekel. You might be able to raise it. Send it to your grandmother, and she might send you 18. And it's not that bad. If you made 18 shekel times, 20,000 people. And I was thinking about it. We might have right now 25,000 people that watch this year. How many tens of thousands watch this year and not part of this year? How many people have a kars atayv? So we have to reach out to them too. So, you take upon yourself. So, 27 people, only 27 people so far decided how much they want to do out of the 230. Those 27 have a goal of $125,000. I read off the names in the beginning of the year. If you're curious to see, go back to the emails in the beginning, and you'll see the whole list. Simi Mandelbaum, $20,000, and Yisrael Goldstein, $10,000. And all of the guys from Montreal, $5,000 each. But don't feel pressure. You don't have to take 5,000. You can take 1,000. Especially there, it's Yisrael Dika, Nu, Nebuch. 35 shekel here in Eretz Yisrael. We're going to get a bunch of people together. It'll be 3,500 shekel. Anyway, the turning of the daf is sponsored by Kanievsky in honor of my uncle Rabbi Chaim Pressman as zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Fega and by Ner Talmid of Baltimore, Maryland. In honor of Fischl and Simcha Gross, thanks to them, 137 people learned over 16,000 daf Gemara and 727,000 minutes of Torah. So he says like this: Listen, tomorrow Rav Huna is showing up here. I need to look into the sugya very nicely so that you know it's flying. Go look into it. Dilaurta at night, Rav Huna, I have inside information, inside trader information. I know what he's going to ask you. Novak Dok Vashkach. So he actually went to the Beis Medrash, opened up the Svarim, and he actually found a bam kasha. This nan says, Kol Maisa Bezdin Arezi Yachzir. Anytime you find a star from Bezdin, you give it back, and we're not concerned that maybe we have people with the same exact name that also lost the star. Listen to what happened. They have the same name, Elvis and Rachel, and they both dropped the star in a public place, and somebody found them. For that, I'm not so choshesh. Asked the Gemara, but Rav Huna's business, so many people coming in and out. It's like a court in America. It's hundreds all day long. And Rabbi says, give it back. How's it possible? If we look at this chart right over here, Rabbi says, do not give it back if you have these two conditions. Shayoris mitzuyos and uzugushne b'nei Yosef. And Rabbi over here says you do give it back. Why? Obviously you don't have these two conditions. If one of these two conditions is missing, then you could give it back. Which one of the two conditions are missing? It can't be the one on the right, Sheres Mitzuyos, because it's in Bezin of Rav Huna, it has Sheres Mitzuyos. There's constant traffic there. Must be that there's no Huchzuk B'nei Yosef. Otherwise, it would be a massive contradiction on Rabbah. Obviously, you need to have two conditions in order not to give it back. Because Rabbah passes, you could give it back. Why is Rabbah passing? You could give back a shtar, a get that you found with two names. Because you didn't know, it's not a known thing that there's two people with the same exact names. The fact that you have Sheres Mitzuyos is not enough not to give it back. You do give it back with Sheres Mitzuyos. Says Gemara Ovid Rabba Uvda. Rabba once paskined, you give back a get that was found in the street. That what? It was found Bekitona de Pumbedisa Kishmaite. They found it in Pumbedisa, in a place that does flax. You gave it back. So I actually have, you guys remember this video, but I have to show you this video because it's incredible. We all speak English here. Listen carefully, don't make noise. Listen carefully. It sounds like he's speaking German. The guy is speaking English 100%. No one is going to understand a word until he say, hey, break it. Listen to this. I guess he's from Scotland. Unbelievable. It's not like he was born speaking. This is how he...
The flags were pulled the last day, so we're going to take it on there and you can put it the Scotch way, the Ulster Scotch way, or English way you would run, but it's going to soak it or steep it, but the English word is red. So we'll put it on there in red and we'll...
He's showing the cook now. This is what he's doing.
Keep it down. I'll keep it on here now for roughly up to 7 to 11 days, maybe more. According to what way you take it out then and you take it out then and you break it.
You break it.
And
okay, now I thought that he's talking English. I just figured it out.
The skin comes off it. That's ready for taking out and spreading.
I don't know what it sounds like. Anyways.
Take it out and you dry it in the grain.
Moe, you know how to speak that language? You understood what he said? That was not English. There's no way. That's Scotland, Ireland. I don't know what it is. You guys are messed up. That's English. You all need a refuah shlema. Anyway, so what's going on here? He found a get in this place. So either this place is a lot of people. It's the marketplace of cotton, of flax. So Mamela, you have to say that in order not to have the two conditions, there's a lot of people. You have the one on the right, so you don't have the one on the left. You don't have Huchzakul. I've got the Shchir and siyadta, even though there's many people coming in and out. No, it's a simple place like this guy right over here. It's a place you just soak the flax. So there's not a lot of people. So what do you have? You have the condition on the left. You have Vafakav the Huchzakul, the Lo Yishchich Shayoris, but you don't have the condition on the right. Fine. Says the Gemara, check this out. Nachamo. We have the Mishnah that we had on Amud Aleph, that it says in the Mishnah in Gittin, that if you find the get, the shliach lost the get, if you find it, don't give it back. As for Bzeira, Rami Masnisan Abraisa, he asked a kasha from the Braisa on the Mishnah, Mishani, and he has the answer. None. First of all, it says, Hamevi gev aved imenu, this is what we said, Matzoy la'alter kasha, you find it right away, give it, it's kasha v'im lav pasel. Virimini, I have a Braisa. He asked a kasha from a Braisa that says, in the Mishnah it says, Lo yahrzeit, and over here it says yahrzeit. It says in the Mishnah that if you find it after a period of time, you don't give it back. In the Braisa it says you do give it back. Contradiction. What does it say? Matzah get isha bashuk, you find the get, bizman shabal moide yachzir. It says mefurish, give it back. Even after a long time, it seems like. Isn't that a contradiction? And if the husband doesn't admit, you don't give it back. Why don't you give it back, Rabbi say? If the husband has the get, he won't pay the ksuba. If she has a get, she might get married. It's very dangerous. Don't give it back to anybody. Katani miyas, but it says in the Braisa, bizman shabal moide yachzir leisha. It says you do give it back. You see the contradiction? In the Mishnah it says lo yachzir, and the Braisa says yachzir. Vafil is mamuru, but it seems like even after a very long time. Umeshani says Reb Zera answer. When don't you give it back? When there's a lot of people there. When there's not a lot of people, you can give it back. In order to explain Reb Zera, some people say, When we know that we established there's two other people in the same city with the same names, then you don't give it back. The Hanu the Rabbah, that fits right into Rabbah. That what? The Shayoris, Mitsuyos, and Huchsaku, we have the two conditions, boom, that's Rabbah. The Gedamri, yeah, if you want to go back, we can go back to the two conditions, not these two conditions over here. Even if you only have one out of the two conditions, you only have Shayoris, Mitsuyos, you don't give it back. Upligi the Rabbah, and that's, he argues on Rabbah. Now, let's do this. We had Reb Zera ask a question from a Bryce on the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Lo Yachzer, in the Bryce it says Yachzer. Take a look at this. Rabbah on Amud Aleph had the same question, but he asked from a Mishnah. The Mishnah in Gita, in Ksuba says, in Gita says Lo Yachzer, and he found a Mishnah now, or Masechta, Bava Metzia, that says Yachzer. So, says the Gemara, he doesn't ask the contradiction like Reb Zera here. And now let's see Reb Zera together. Reb Zera asked from a Brisa, Rabbi asked from a Mishnah. Simple. If you have a choice to ask a contradiction, you're going to ask the contradiction from Mishnah to a Mishnah. From the same author to the same author. From Rebbe, Reb Yehuda Nasi, from Mishnah, which is the strongest possible text that we have, which is a Mishnah. Rather than asking from a Brisa. A Brisa was written by Rebbe's Talmud, most of them, Reb Chia, and it doesn't have the same validity. It's not as strong. Sometimes a Brisa is not correct. A Mishnah has to be absolute. So of course Rabbi is going to ask a contradiction on the right from a Mishnah to a Mishnah. But it's not understood why Reb Zera chose to ask the contradiction from a Brisa instead of from a Mishnah. I'll say, where does it say anywhere in the Mishnah that you give it back after a long time? It doesn't say that. Maybe the Mishnah is talking about a case where he found it 2 minutes after he lost it. It doesn't say the time. As we saw before, it's possible that Reb Zera argues in Rabbah, and Reb Zera holds you only need one of these two conditions, not both. So what would be the argument between him and Rabbah? You don't need the condition of that you know that there's two people with the same name, only then you don't give it back. You don't give it back when there's a lot of people coming in with caravans and convoys. What's the source of the machlokes? Says the Gemara, Rabbah Sovar. Because it says when you find the document from Bezdin, you give it back. Listen to this. This is a little bit of a jump. We have to understand Rabbah a little bit. Aren't we talking about that it was written by Bezdin and you found it in Bezdin? Oh, and Bezdin is like there's a lot of people. And in addition, and if there's two people with the same names, then you don't give it back. Mashma that if you don't have that condition, you could give it back. Reb Zera says the obvious. Reb Zera does it say anywhere that he found it inside of a Bezdin? It says Kol Maisa Bezdin. It's only a document that was written in Bezdin. But in fact, maybe he found it outside of Bezdin where there's no Shayaris Mitzuyos. But if there's Shayaris Mitzuyos, you don't give it back. Rabbi Yirmiyah Omar, this brisa that says that you give back a get that you find, because we have testimony from Eidim. We have two Eidim that testify. Rabbi Yisai, right? I don't think anybody in this room ever signed on a get. It's the most, right? Who signed on a get? You signed on a get. Okay, one person signed on a get. Did you sign on two gittin?
I used to sign in Buffalo everybody's get.
So you signed on a lot of gittin. So you're a great example of what we're not looking for. Or maybe, no, we are looking. Basically, the two Eidim say, listen, we only signed on one get in our life with the name Elvis and Rachel, and therefore it's impossible that this get is from another couple with the same name, with the same Eidim, because we never signed on two gittin. So if so, what's the chiddush? Oh, this is really going to throw you for a loop. But maybe we still have to be concerned that maybe the husband and wife have the same name, Elvis and Rachel. I don't like that name. Reuben and Shimon and Rachel. Huh? Yeah, but it's a get. That's why I say I don't like the fact that it's a get. But also the witnesses have the same exact name with the same fathers. That's already too far. Maybe I would be concerned. Rav Ashi Omar, let's just do this a little bit. Yeah? Do we have 2 minutes? Rashi Yomak going to call Omar Nekev Yeshbu B'tzad Ois Ploinus. He has something, it's gishmak. Look at this. It has a hole, and it's right by this and this place of the get. That is what we call, not Hefker Bezin Hefker. It's called Siman Muvak. Siman Muvak means it's not just a siman, it's not just a hole. I'll tell you what letter it's by. There's a story that a guy found a gold coin, and as he picks it up, somebody runs over him and says, "That's my gold coin. I wasn't Messiah. I know that if you find money, there's yush on the spot, but I saw you pick it up." So they went to the Nesivus, and the Nesivus looks at him and he asks him questions. He realized that the guy that came over to say that it was his coin is a liar. So he tells him, "Listen, do me a favor, step outside. I need to talk to this person for a second." So the guy steps outside and he says, nice and loud, he says, "Listen, I'm going to ask him soon. You see this scratch right over here, right by the 1, between the 1 and the 0? That's a nice scratch, right? You must, okay. Call him back in." Now, obviously, that thief put his ear by the door. He was listening to every word that was said. So he comes in and he says, "No, do you have any simanim on the coin?" The guy says, yeah, there's a scratch right next to the 1. He says, "Okay, get out of here, you liar." Says the Gemara, Dafka b'tzadois ploinus. It's only when he's doing a siman mubak of a nekev ba'al maloi, but if it's just a whole knot. Ravashi, why? Misapkali simanim midiraisi derabanan. Ravashi has a suffix. When you give a person his item back based on a siman like we're going to have pretty soon in a few days in Eli Metzias, is it a deraisa halacha or derabanan? How do I give somebody an object based on a derabanan? Because of hefker, bezin hefker. Bezin has the right to take it from you and give it to somebody else. But when it comes to to divorce somebody, it has to be a deraisa, because if it's only derabanan, it doesn't work. So the Gemara, Rabbi Rechana Irkis Legita. Rabbi Rechana lost. He was a shliach and he lost the get by midrash in the base medrash. After a long time, they found it, and he didn't have a siman muvak. He did not have a siman muvak. Omar, isimana isli begavei. Listen, I have a little siman. Itfius eino, I have a visual recognition. I recognize this. Isli begavei. Ahadrud naalei, and they gave him back the get. Omar, and he said, Lo yidani mishum simona hadrud naalei, because havri simonim deraisa. I don't know if they hold that a siman is deraisa. That's why they gave it to me, because of the siman. Mishum tfius eino hadrud naalei, or they gave it to me because of the visual recognition. V'dafka says the Gemara tzuvim in the Rabbanon. Only person that can use visual recognition is a Talmud Chacham. Avalinisha da'am aloi, and in Chulin the Rand says that a regular person could also use visual recognition for other people, not for himself. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.